Good evening or morning, everyone. My name's Eric.
And my name's Tom,
And I am Victor.
and we would like to invite you to another episode of
Offline Games TV.
Remind me, please, which episode it is?
Weren't you supposed to count them?
Yeah, I kinda forgot.
Anyway, today's topic is Polish game developers that succeed in the world. Quite interesting, don't you agree?
Well, I love Polish games. I even wore my Witcher 3 t-shirt for today's episode.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It was made by CD Projekt Red, which is a part of bigger film, CD Projekt.
Yes, they are responsible for starting the Witcher series back in 2007. Looking at it from the perspective of time, it wasn't best in terms of gameplay. Nevertheless, it sold very well, and even received a few awards for the best RPG of the year.
Yeah, to say that gameplay is kinda clucky is an understatement, but it was just a beginning to a great series, which not only was made by Poles, but also was based on a novel of Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski, who, let's be honest, didn't believe in their version and that the video game could be this popular.
We'll come back to Sapkowski later. Let us continue.
Yes, of course.
Their next game was The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, which again was very successful. Heck! Even the former US President Barack Obama was gifted a copy of the game by Donald Tusk during his visit in Poland back in 2014. But again, the game received a lot of awards, including 2011 Game of the Year.
Alright, let's continue. Their two next games were mobile Witcher games, but let's not talk about mobile games, please.
With pleasure, because with that we can talk about CDP's opus magnum, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Oh boy, Wild Hunt. How good is that game? It was an instant hit, it received great reviews, won many awards. 2015 Game of the Year included, and to this day sold 30 million copies. As far its CD Projekt greatest accomplishment. Not only the game itself was a huge success, but also its after effects. I mean the two DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, the spin-off Gwent game that was only a mini game in Witcher 3, and the Netflix series. And here's one interesting fact. During the premiere of live-action series in December 2019, the sales of Wild Hunt increased by over 500% compared to December 2018. Wow.
Yes, the Wild Hunt was what gave the CDP the worldwide recognition, but not everyone was quite happy about this. Let's get back to Sapkowski. When he sold the rights to The Witcher, when CDP was making their first game, Sapkowski didn't believe that it would be a successful project, so instead of taking shares, he took money in advance, which he later wasn't happy about. In 2018, he sued CDPs to pay him 60 million zlotych because he said that the amount he received was too low. Their conflict lasted for a while, but in the end Sapkowski received some amount of money and got off the CDP.
Okay boys, enough with this mainstream. Let's talk about another brilliant developer, namely 11-Bit Studios, which is responsible for releasing games such as Frostpunk, Moonlighter and This War of Mine.
These are good games, Eric, but I think that one of them really stands out, don't you think? This War of Mine is the jewel in their crown. It's an atmospheric 2D survival stealth game in a post-war city, where you fight for supplies and your own life as a mere civilian. It really shows a different view on a war in comparison to Call of Duty, Battlefield, etc. The other survivors might shoot you on sight just to get your food, water and meds. Things get especially tricky because your characters don't just care about surviving, they care about how they want to survive.
I totally agree with you that This War of Mine is so far the greatest one. It was their first game to receive such positive reviews. and had that much impact in the gamers community. The art and music do a great job of building and sustaining tension. Each location is drawn in a brooding charcoal sketch style that promises danger in every shadow.
And that, my friends, is why this war of mine is so gripping and unforgettable. Your survival strategy is never much stronger than a house of cards, and small problems quickly snowball into big ones.
Could we talk about something more empathetic like Frostpunk or Moonlighter?
How the hell a game about building a city where survivors are freezing to death due to devastating climate change could be empathetic?
Okay, after longer analysis, Frostpunk isn't empathetic at all, but I still like it though. As you said earlier, the game itself sets the stage with an original backstory, in which climate change devastates humanity. Those left alive must seek out the few remaining resources, as they attempt to shape the last city on Earth.
As the leader of the city, you'll be forced to make some hard decisions. Most of them come from Book of Laws, a tree of edicts that shape the face of your society. Will children be forced to work? Will you stretch food supplies by giving soup to only half of your people? What will you do with the corpses of the dead? These are only a few examples of possible ways that you can guide your survivors to a better or worse future.
Frostpunk's art style is very minimalistic and washed out, making each bit of color seem like a touch of warmth in the snow. The gameplay is unique, using the best aspects of city building and survival games, with a little exploration mixed in.
Okay, let's proceed.
But before continuing, let's talk about our sponsor.
Over 300 champions. Someone's gonna get hurt. Raid Shadow Legends.
Nice.
Well, I think there's only one of the big players left. The king of zombie games, Techland. But before that, let's talk about their first game series, Call of Juarez. It's a first-person shooter that takes place in the Wild West. Their first game, Call of Juarez, made its debut in 2007, but it wasn't too good. In America, its sales were rather low. In Europe, it was quite better, but still it wasn't a hit. Next 3 games managed much better than the first one, especially Bound in Blood, but none of them was a great hit, which is probably why we haven't seen another game for 8 years.
Wait, what? What do you mean that none of them was a great hit? The last game, Call of Juarez Gunslinger, was fantastic, and you dare to say that?
I didn't say that those games were bad, but, I didn't call Techland the king of zombie games for no reason. Their first game about them was Dead Island, released in 2011. It was a good game. It sold over 5 million copies, but there was also a lot of controversy going on, mainly about the game showing too much violence.
Like that scene in the trailer, when we see the death of a zombified little girl.
Oh, I remember that really well, but let's be honest, Dead Island isn't their biggest zombie game, and I'm not talking about the sequel, Dead Island Riptide. I'm talking about one of the best games of 2015, which, as we know, was generally a good year for gaming. The Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Undertale, and Techland's Dying Light. It's an open-world zombie survival game with a great storyline, elaborate crafting system and parkour elements. It's their best-selling game so far. We'll see how good Dying Light 2 will be.
When it will finally be out.
Yeah, the premiere was delayed, but let's hope for the best, like with Cyberpunk.
Oh, Cyberpunk 2077. That game people have waited 7 years to play.
Yes.
And let's hope they won't have to wait another 7.
Alright, it looks like we are running out of time, so let's get to a conclusion. Poland didn't used to be recognized as a renowned game developer, but that changed over the years. Nowadays, Poland is known as a world-class developer who made lots of great games.